I'm going to get us started. I'm Amy Crane. I am the Rotation.org president of the Volunteer Board of Directors, and I would like to welcome you all here to this coffee chat. We've had a number of them. This one is going to be on computers and technology. And I'm going to introduce, first of all, we have some of our board members with us. I'll let them wave when I introduce. There's Ron Shifley. I don't know if he's on that side for all of you, and Robin Stewart, and Luann Payne, and Carol Halbert. I think that was all the board members I was expecting to be here today. I don't think anybody else slipped in. So, and then we have Neil McQueen, who's our webmaster and master of all trades and knows a lot about technology. So he and Ron will be taking us through a lot of practical applications. But before we start that, I'd like Luann to go ahead and open us with prayer. Thank you so much. We're going to be taking questions, I think, via chat today. So if you want to type questions into chat, and Neil and Ron will be sharing their screens as we go along. But we have a lot to cover, and let's see, let me see what the poll looks like. So it looks like a number of you have used computers, but a lot more are interested in learning. And we're grateful for you here. I think we're going to have a lot of great ideas that are shared today. And anyway, I think we'll just turn it over at this point to Neil.
Hey, everybody. I'm going to put in the chat a link to our agenda for the next hour. And it's a page at rotation.org that you can open up in your browser. That page, that topic at rotation.org will tell you what we're going to be talking about in what order. Hopefully we can stay on track. It also has links to a lot of the resources at rotation.org regarding software, teaching manuals, pamphlets, training pamphlets, Bible apps that I would recommend, and some of the programs that Ron's going to be talking about. So if you haven't scrolled down the bottom of your screen and click chat, opened up your chat, I would encourage you to do so. I'm actually going to be screen sharing right now that actual page so you can see what it is we're talking about, and hopefully we will just sort of scroll right down through there. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So everything on this topic that I created was created for today. And as you can see where we are in the what I call the hopeful agenda, and the course of discussion here. First of all, thanks for being interested in teaching with technology. I'm going to start off with just some comments about what I call a brief history of where we've been and where I think we're going. I started teaching with computers in my Sunday school, my rotation model Sunday school, in 1991, using two 386 PCs that had 614K of RAM. And you know how far we've come since then. What I find comforting, and some of you have been in my seminars over the years, you may have seen me 20 years ago do a seminar and show some of the software that's still around. What I find really comforting, what I was able to say then, I can still say today, and that is, this is still about teaching children. It's all we're doing is we're changing the medium, whether it's art or drama or games or a cooking project, we're changing the medium. And so a lot of the things that you already know about teaching kids, setting up the classroom, creating a lesson plan, managing kids towards an objective, getting kids to settle down long enough to focus, all those things are going to still be in play, even now with tablets and Bible apps, which we'll talk about, as well as the software. And I find that strangely comforting that this is still about teaching, and that means that any teacher with some teaching skills in Sunday school can pull this off. I think tech skills, the tech skills we're talking about to run an app or hook up a phone to a big screen TV, I think all those things are much easier to teach than how to teach. So I would say to all of you who are teachers or working with teachers, this is a teaching medium. It's not really for techies. My experience where we've been, the last 20 or 30 years of experience has said, probably the worst teacher to recruit is a techie who doesn't know how to teach. yet sometimes in a Sunday school, that's exactly who we recruit. Somebody's excited about computers, but knows nothing about relating content to kids or moving them from learning the facts of the story to learning the life application of the story, or how to get kids to share. Those sorts of things. Those are some of the things I think we learned very early on in the 90s. And as the equipment changed, as the software certainly changed over the last 20, 30 years, as new devices and new possibilities in the online world and the apps have come along, those basic underlying understandings, I don't think have changed. And I'm just going to look right over to Ron, and I'm also going to look at John McKay, who's here with us, been teaching with technology for a long time. And hey, guys, do you find that to be true, what I just said, or do you have a different take on it?
I'll jump in. I'll agree that, yeah, there's technical folks that will be excited for that. But as soon as you mention, oh, you've got to teach kids, they head for the door. I mean, you'll look at light speed, and there'll be some pixelation as they leave because they're moving too fast. But yeah, you have to be, and this should be any teacher. You have to be very adaptable to whatever's going on in the room. And I kind of mentioned that early on. I don't know who's ever going to come in the door. And I may have all able-bodied kids come in. I may have a few kids that have special things that need to be adjusted, and you adjust for it. I've had sight-impaired people that I quickly would change their resolution on their screen to make it very large in the letters.
So there's some technical aspect to it that you can teach a teacher, but managing the kids and managing the variables of who's coming in and managing the excitement too. My grandkids still eat up technology and screens. They just love playing games with me on a computer screen or a tablet. And if you cannot manage that level of energy in Sunday school, if you have to be a control freak and everybody do this at the same time with me, you're gonna fail with this medium, because we're giving over controls in a lot of ways, like an art project where you give them materials and tell them to participate in shaping it towards a goal, or a drama where everybody's is working on it and bringing their own input and sense of timing to how that skit's developing. It's the same way with software. And if you're a control freak where you have to say, now everybody listen to me, everybody watch what I'm doing, technology, you're gonna fail at technology. So finding the right person, giving them the right teaching pointers. Later in this agenda, there's a link to a pamphlet, which can bring some of your teachers up to date. Ron, I'll turn it over to you for a second opinion on that.
Yeah, I agree. The most important thing is to have someone who loves the kids in the room and is willing and wants to teach the kids. You can't get all caught up in the technical side, because a lot of what you're doing is trying to help the kids maneuver through the lesson on their own level in their own way. And so, yeah, you need to have people who work with computer labs or teaching the software, who are willing to be there and steps side by side with the kids to help them.
That's a phrase that some of you will recognize from some of the stuff I've written about. I was taught this phrase by a wonderful teacher back in the early 90s, that when you teach with technology, you're not the sage on the stage, you're the guide by the side. And man, if you can remember that and master that kind of setup where you're going through this material using technology as their guide by the side, not with coffee in the corner of the classroom. I love that little alliteration. And that's what happens to some teachers. Once the machines get running or the tablets get going and the sound starts going, or kids put on headphones, some teachers just sort of evacuate their teaching position and go sip coffee and wait for something to break or wait for kids to get done. You notice how we're putting that really up front here. Some of you came wanting, we'll talk about software, we'll talk about technology, but man, that is what you just heard from the three of us, most important stuff we can tell you. This is a teaching medium. Sage on the stage? No. Coffee in the corner of the classroom? No. Guide by the side. That's the right way to, I think, do any of this technology. It's the right way to teach, period.
Mhm.
It's one of the advantages that we have in Sunday school. If you have smaller numbers, especially, you can be a guide by the side, which is getting close to that mentoring relationship. Where have we been with software? Obviously, what we were doing in the early 90s and the late 90s was real primitive stuff. I started Sunday Software to change that. 18 of the software titles that for years I sold through Sunday Software. It's how I supported myself, Sunday school software. I donated them all to rotation.org about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and said, here, have at them. So if you're a supporting member of the site, you can download all 18 of the programs we created. Amazingly, they all still work in Windows 10. And they'll work. That's one of the beauties of the Windows platform, is the backwards compatibility. And I'm kind of sad that as we move into Bible apps, as we move into applications that you download on your smartphones, your tablets, those operating systems are transitioning and changing at a more rapid pace. So a really good program like some of the ones I'll mention here in a moment, a really good program like Sun School, Sun's Cool is the way I would say it. In 2 years from now, the funding may be gone and they may not be able to afford to update it for the next tablet platform that comes along. So the pace of change in technology affects the platforms too. What hasn't changed is that Windows 10 still is a great operating system to running all these 18 programs. I don't care how old it is. I just care how good it is and how much the kids want to use it. I mean, I would teach with popsicle sticks if that was God's gift to Sunday school and to the kids, and they got real excited, and it was a fantastic medium. To me, it's about the attraction of the software or the app, and the ability of the user to manipulate it and work through it, and feel in the driver's seat. You feel more engaged when you're in the driver's seat, when you have your hand on the mouse or your finger on the screen. And that's what I saw in the early 90s. That's what we still see today. That's what still excites the kids about using all this material, is they can get their hands on it. For years we talked about hands-on curriculum. Well, guess what? All these software and these application programs, these apps that you can put on tablets, this is hands-on. So in some ways, we're just continuing that great idea of let's make it hands-on, because it gets into the brain and it gets into the heart much quicker that way. It gets into their memories for sure when they're acting like that. So
I was going to say one thing is they also work in Windows 11.
So as you use these apps, we're going to keep, one of the things we're doing at rotation.org is showing you what's available now. And within 2 years, we're going to have to update all that, because programs go by the wayside very quickly in apps. So I'm hopeful that I'm glad the software is still around. Rotation.org supporting members can get it. And I'm also really thrilled that we have some really excellent Bible apps that are starting to come and that organizations are supporting and redeveloping. I'm going to skip on down to number 3. And Ron and I'll just briefly chat about this. There are a lot of different ways to use technology in a classroom. You can be a teacher with a tablet connected to your big TV. All you need is a $15 cord that plugs into the back of your TV, and this end plugs into your iPhone or your tablet, and suddenly what you have on your tablet using your internet connection or your cell phone's internet connection, forget about what kind of Wi-Fi the church is giving you. Usually it's not very good. We have something else we have to correct if we want to embrace technology. We have to embrace some speed in the classrooms and connectivity. But the simplest thing to do is go out and get a $15 cord and connect. So that's one way to do it, is to show what the technology can show, whether it's a YouTube video, whether it's a piece of software, show it on a big screen and invite kids to come up and manipulate it on the small screen. In that sense, small classes, small Sunday schools really have an advantage over large Sunday schools, because you can bring in 2 tablets and plug one of them into the screen and into the big screen, and more kids can follow along and get their chance to come up and help. That's one model, using it occasionally to supplement based on whatever app or software you have. Maybe you're using a Bible story video or a Bible app presentation at the beginning of your lesson plan or at the end of your lesson plan, sometimes, depending on what subject you're teaching. The model that I helped develop was the computer workshop model with the rotation model, where 1 week you'd be learning the Good Sam story in art, next week you'd be learning it through drama, and the third week you'd be in a computer lab using Good Sam software. And the idea there being one teacher who really liked technology and knew how to teach with it, staying there, not changing the teacher, just changing the kids every week. That's still a great model, even if you're using traditional Sunday school where they change the story on you every week. You could set up a computer lab or a tech lab or a little computer workshop where you go and you invite somebody like Ron or somebody like John, and I see some of the other names here, where you're the computer lab teacher, and every week they bring you a different group. And what happens by doing that, you don't have to do the rotation model to do this, but if you set up this little lab and you have a teacher or two say, this is our lab, this is our thing. Every week they're using the apps or using the software with a different group. That means they get better every week. And they need to get better every week. That's one of the beauties of the rotation model. It says really the first time you do anything is a dry run. And volunteer teachers especially need that dry run. So rotate, even if you're not using the rotation model, set up a little lab. That's a great concept. And then you bring in an app or a piece of software and you use it for a couple weeks in a row. That's also a great way not to chew up having to download a lot of software and apps all the time when you slow down your rate of story change. When you're teaching with Good Sam software for 4 weeks in a row to 4 different classes, no matter what all the rest of the classes are teaching, if they're changing the story every week. But when they come into the lab is going to focus on one particular story or computer activity and repeat it each week so that the teacher gets better each week at delivering that technology and comfort. And also so you're not constantly having to change the software. Find a new app, download a new program, make sure it works on your computer. So I hope that kind of concept makes sense to people. The rotation model, people embrace that. It's a lot easier to prepare a computer lab like that, to teach like that. One teacher and move the kids through the lab instead of moving the teacher, forcing new software on the teacher each week. But a lot of traditional Sunday schools do the same thing. They create a lab over here. A lab can be 1 computer or 10. It can be 1 tablet and a big screen TV, or it can be a room full of tablets. It can be using software in 100 different ways. The key is it sits over here. It says, I have a story I want to focus on for 2 or 3 weeks with these 2 or 3 grades. And each week I'm going to rotate those kids through my lab, but I'm going to stay there for 2 or 3 weeks in a row and be that teacher, building my experience of how to best teach with that app or software on that particular story for a couple of weeks in a row. That's a glorious setup if you can do it. You can really go far. So there's the other way to think about your software use is simply as supplemental. Every once in a while, we get in our curriculum doldrums and we're like, man, I'd like to do something really different. And so you grab yourself your cord and your tablet and your big screen TV and you say, hey kids, today we're going to do scripture memory work using Cal and Marty scripture memory game software. I've got it on my laptop here. I'm going to show it on the big screen. And we're going to work on the memory verses of the last 7 lessons we've learned, to see how much you remember of them, but also to do reinforcement. Or you come in and you say every 4 or 5 weeks, you bring in a couple of laptops, a couple of tablets, and you say, hey, let's go use this piece of software or this app over here. I think this is really exciting stuff. And so you don't have to, so in other words, you don't do it all the time. The problem is going to be, and I think anybody who's done a computer lab would say the same thing, is the kids are going to say, why aren't we doing this every week? Why is this irregular? Why isn't this regular? I want to do more of this. You want me to do what? Where are the tablets, Neil? Can we go over to the computer lab today? And they'll say that right in the middle of your other lesson. So it's a bit of a 800-pound gorilla that is fun to unleash, but you're probably, because of the excitement of the kids, going to find more opportunities, want to find more opportunities to use it on a regular basis. Home use, I'm going to leave off the list here for a second on the agenda. Ron, do you want to throw in anything on those kind of models of using and talk about some of the models you've used?
Yeah, I've used rotations Neil's software and computer labs for 3 churches now. Two of the churches, we had established rooms for our Bible computer labs. The current church I'm at is having to be multi-functional, and so we're having to move the computers in and out. But we have a computer lab as one of the rotations for our children's Sunday school, and the kids really eat that up. So we will use some of the stories that are, or the software that is basic story oriented. We also, as Neil was saying, use some supplemental software. Calamari, the scripture memory game that he was mentioning, is something that I can use in any of the labs, even an art lab, even a drama lab. You could have the computer right at the end and you refresh the memory verse with the kids, and it's a great activity. I use that in our confirmation class. We work on the books of the Bible. We work on the Apostles' Creed. We work on like the Heidelberg Catechism question 1, and the kids just really enjoy that. I've also used software in other areas that are not just in children's programming. We have a Faith in the Arts class that we have here at our church occasionally, where we're doing a painting or a sculpture. And we had 2 sessions in the past couple of years. One was on Elijah and one was on Jonah. And we utilized one of the software programs that's downloadable here on rotation called Elijah and Jonah. And we showed those Bible stories to the adults to help them visualize what the story of Elijah or the story of Jonah might have looked like. So when they went to their own painting or sculpture, they had already in mind somebody else's depiction of the story. And that was really a nice launching pad for that creativity for the adults. And so it's not just for kids. I just want to let you know about that.
I would say the 2 programs you mentioned, if somebody's looking to get started, and sometimes when you're trying to get started, you're trying to convince some people to try this, maybe to make a little bit of an investment. Hopefully with enough used computers floating around, used tablets, it's really not an investment the way it used to be, where you had to pick up 2 brand new computers. But those 2 programs, Elijah and Jonah and the Calamari scripture memory game, if you show those to people, especially your naysayers, and they don't see the application, you need to start praying for those people. Most people, parents, kids, pastors, they go, oh, scripture memory, I get it. Oh, it's the Elijah and Jonah story, and it's telling it and it's quizzing it, and the kids are playing with it, and they're doing follow-up activities with it. It's like they suddenly, sometimes everybody's from Missouri, you got to show them. And I'm just going to switch over to the PC page, PC software. This is the download page at rotation.org, where we uploaded all of our software, all of the technical notes that I had written over the years. I updated everything before we uploaded the software. And you can see the 18 titles organized here. There's Cal and Marty along with Bob. It's sort of organized in the type of software they are. Some programs are more like utility programs about verses and things and about the Bible, or you can create a quiz like with the Fall of Jericho program. Other programs like Elijah and Jonah and Awesome Bible Stories and Abraham and Sarah, 10 Commandments, those are about the Bible story. Same with Jesus in Space, Good Sam, Samaritan, Prodigal Son. So you can go in even without a supporting membership and read all of these descriptions. You can read the system requirements. You can read our suggested age range. You can look at the guide to sort of see what's in the program. And if you have questions about it, any of these programs, just give us a holler. But Ron's given you 2 real good ones, the Elijah and Jonah and Cal and Marty, just to get started with.
And all these software programs are downloadable by our supporting members, $45 a year, and you can then share them with all the members of your congregation. So they won't be able to put them on their kids' tablets, but if they have a PC at home, they can share share the software with the
Yeah.
family to use at home.
And what you're seeing is, a lot of animated stuff, interactive screens where the kids are working with the story. We spent, 12, 15 years making programs, working on different ways to interact with the story, exploring different ways. Elijah and Jonah we built this piece of software using a comic book for the graphics, and we made it, it's the first interactive comic book ever in software. Real proud of that. But this is what it looks like, super kid friendly. When you're using the software from Sunday Software, let me just put in a commercial, you're getting software designed by a Christian educator and a Presbyterian minister. And I would say, 95% of the time we got it right. But if you can't find something to disagree with or not like, you probably aren't looking very hard. That's my theory on all resources. But you play through the story, and then the story asks back questions, and you can play putting the story in order, do some reflection. I'm real big on using software and all these tools to do reflection, not just showing the story. Software is not video, although it has aspects of video. It's not video. It's a more interactive idea of video. And of course, we're always putting games in it. I love to game everything. The brain loves games. The 10 Commandments software is another one of those programs. Is not like any other program. That's one of the other big things when you start looking at software or Bible apps. It's not like picking up your lesson plan Sunday morning at 8 a.m. and being able to teach at 9 a.m. because you've got to preview it and you're going to have to figure out how this program works, where things are, how to manipulate them before the kids start asking that. So you're gonna need people willing to do preparation, willing to look for things. Our guides can help to a certain extent, but you're gonna have to put in the time. If you have a teacher who's just rolling the software without previewing it, I don't know any teaching medium where that's a great idea. It's certainly not a good idea with technology. So a lot of the Q&A that's in the software that you find at rotation.org, that comes from me. You'll also see a lot of lesson plans at rotation.org in our public forums and also in our writing team forums for supporting members. I personally wrote. A lot of those came right out of my own Sunday school. And so you can see how that software fits into a lesson plan just by looking at some of the supporting member writing team lesson sets. Look up the computer lab, or look in the public forums under the computer workshop and see which program people are recommending and how they used it in their lesson plan. I'm going to swing over, since I think people are sort of familiar with the Sunday software stuff. And I'm thrilled if you did. By the way, if you download it, you can also give that download to families in your church. That was one of the questions a couple people have already asked is, how do we get families to engage? How do we get families to use this? Well, one of the things I did when I donated the software to rotation.org is we just flat out tell you in the agreement that you can share this download with families in your congregation. If they have a PC, they can run this. So let me go back here to Ron. Do you want to say anything about a couple of these programs before we switch over to Bible apps, tablet apps?
One of the other programs that I would say is just a must-have is the Fall of Jericho quiz making game, because visually it takes you from Egypt to Jericho, but the whole idea is it makes reviews, quiz questions for any Bible story. And so we use that with a lot of different stories, and it's a wonderful way to do that. If you're going to trying to do a review of a story or several stories that you've done within a school year, and so that'd be a third piece of software that if you have some must-haves, and the fourth must-have, I guess, of the set is Awesome Bible Stories, because it has so many different Bible stories on there. That's both telling the story and gaming the story. So if you're saying which are the first ones to grab hold of, Cal and Marty, Elijah and Jonah, Fall of Jericho, and Awesome Bible Stories would be the first 4 pieces of software I download from some rotation for your whatever you're doing at your church.
We have a couple of programs that we made using it's a type of development software that if you've ever played Fortnite or Call of Duty, it's that whole I'm the one walking across the screen. What I see is my point of view. It's sort of a virtual look. And so you're moving your person through the screen to do things. We took one of those game engines and built a number of programs where you are directing, in the case of like Exodus Adventures, a young teenage archaeologist through the ruins of the Exodus story, or through the ruins of Joseph's palace, sort of created these adventures. That's a whole different style of Sunday school software that takes more time. There are programs like Galilee Flyer where your kids are flying through the air, answering questions about the Beatitudes and learning about what the different words in the Beatitudes mean. And so you may have kindergartners who can't do that. They're gonna be better off using Elijah and Jonah and Awesome Bible Stories. Whereas a game that requires more game manipulation, knowledge of left, right, up, down, which is still challenging for many first graders. Some of your kids who are used to playing games, your young kids, they'll take to it real quick. Going back to something John said earlier about you never know which kids are going to show up. You know, I've run into classes where of all the young kids there, most of them are like, I'm not sure what's left and right. Do I press this key or that key? And others who come in and man, you can tell they've been gaming at home and know exactly how to adapt to the controls of the program. So as far as age range goes, it's a slippery question. If I'm sitting right there with them, I can expand my age range down to kindergartners with no problem. Even a program like Cal and Marty Scripture Memory Game where the kids can't read. I can point and say, well, that word is Jesus. Where do you think that goes? Let's see where that goes in the verse. And because they can recognize a word by sight, not necessarily by spelling. So if I'm the guy by the side, man, your age range gets extended. It's the same with apps, and I'm going to switch over to some tablet apps that are really fantastic. And when we're talking about technology in a Sunday school or in a fellowship program or at home, we're not talking one type of technology. We're not talking just about PCs or Windows. We're talking about, every home's got a computer and a usually a laptop and a tablet and a cell phone. And depending on what you have available in your Sunday school class or your fellowship program or at home, you could be switching back and forth over time between these different platforms, as they call them. So I'm real partial to apps that have Bible content in them. And one of my cautions is some Bible apps don't have good content in them. They were sort of slapdash. You have to be real careful what you're looking at. Some Bible apps are simply made by publishers who had a bunch of video content that they want to show you and hopefully have you pay for or do an in-app purchase, as we all become aware of that term. So you really kind of have to know, and this stuff is coming out all the time. I've got 3 here that I really want to tout to you. The first one is Sunschool, SUNSCOOL. And down further on my page here, I have a review of it and some graphics. This was put together by United Kingdom Bible Ministry, an international Bible ministry. So it had deep pockets. It's available in multiple languages. And man, is this a cool Bible app. It's got over 40 stories. I'm scrolling down to where I put some, here we go, come on. I put it down at the bottom, of course. There it is. But they present the story in an interactive way. I've put a link there so you can go look at a YouTube video of what's going to happen on the screen. Here's one of the glories of it. It works on every device you can imagine. It even works on like a Fire TV, Windows 10, works on your Android phone. And they give you all of these stories, over 40 stories, and they're nicely animated. They're not elaborately animated. They're narrated, and they're kid-friendly narration. And then they give you activities. A lot of Bible apps give you very poor activities, or they'll give you 20 stories and 2 different types of activities. Sun School gives you a lot of different activities, and it has 2 other amazing features to it. One is, you notice the hand right here, it has a help system that when you sign into the program, if you tell them you're 5 years old, you're going to get a lot of help in all the activities and navigation. If you tell them you're 14 years old, the app will probably just say, good luck, you figure it out. But they have a lot of different activities keyed to this, different stories. They're not just all scripture memory or all single quiz. This program could be put on tablets. By the way, a lot of people think tablets are 1 tablet per kid. This is another thing that I said years ago and experienced years ago. Our value in teaching the Bible is that we do so cooperatively. We do it together. We share the experience. We help each other. And if you're going to set up a classroom where every kid goes to a different corner to do their art project or to watch the video and never interact with each other, never share the material and talk to each other about it, I don't want any part of that model. That's an independent study model that I think that is not what we want to be doing in a Sunday school. Might be what we want to do at home, but I would even say to the parents, a lot of parents just want an app that'll keep their kids quiet in the back seat of the car. That's the way a lot of apps are built. Keep the kids quiet and busy, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're learning anything. And because of the value of our content, we need to teach our parents as well as the teachers that we need to go with them through this content and ask them questions and talk about it and say, that was really funny what Jesus did there. Or, yeah, let me help you with that verse. Or, oh, I remember that verse. And engage, because ultimately, especially at home, it's that relationship between the parent and the child that this material can really grow in. So the idea of 1 tablet per kid, somebody would say, hey, we bought a tablet for every kid in our Sunday school. And I'm like, why would you do that? I said the same thing about PCs, that people say, well, we have 10 kids coming into our computer lab, so we went out and bought 10 computers. I'm like, that's about 5 or 6 too many. They're like, why? I said, because we value cooperative behavior and cooperative learning of the gospel, sharing of the gospel.
Explained a lot, I think, in the manuals that are linked earlier in the agenda. So
Absolutely. Let me just quickly look at a couple of other apps here. The big one out here that I think, if you've looked at apps, is that a lot of people are familiar with, is the YouVersion from Life Church, sometimes Life.tv, Life.church, a big mega church outfit out of Oklahoma, who, like some of the mega churches, God bless them, they've funneled their cash into producing fantastic children's media. At rotation.org, we're often recommending videos from some of these that these mega churches have been able to fund. Well, guess what? This church out in Oklahoma has been able to fund a fantastic app, the YouVersion Bible app for kids. And what that means is it's going to be around for a number of years, and it keeps improving. It has nice animation in it. It has a nice interface. It's, you can scroll through the stories. One of the things I like about the YouVersion and also about Sun School is they incentivize the kids to use it. They give them little tokens or little stars or little diamonds. So as they go through the material, the kids are saying, hey, look how many stars I got. I want to get 10 more. And I don't mind that. I'm not big on awarding attendance pins, but with a screen, the kids understand if it's on the screen and it's anything like a game, they want that feeling of accomplishment, and those awards and diamonds and everything allow the parent or the teacher to know whether or not the kids accomplished something, actually went through it rather than just kind of moped around with their finger. You can say, well, did you win that diamond? How many points you got there? So these 2 programs have a lot of Bible stories in them, and they have follow-up content. You may need to have a point in your lesson plan where you say, okay, tablets down, worst part of get away from the, step away from the computers, kids. Worst part of any computer lab workshop, because kids are going to groan. But you get them used to that, saying, okay, now we're going to move over to this area and we're going to talk about what you've learned, maybe do an art project on it, maybe do a reflection and a closing prayer. Not everything has to happen at the tablet. because that tablet or the computer is the proverbial 800-pound gorilla. At some point, you don't want it to dominate everything the kids are doing, and everything the teacher is teaching with. So it's the sort of throttling the use of technology, just like you would never teach an entire class with a video, although many people have done it using VeggieTales. Start it at the beginning of class and barely get it over at the end of class, and no chance to talk about it. Yeah, I don't get that. But you certainly don't want to do that with technology. So there's a bunch of other apps that I mentioned there. I just want to put a plug in for a program called Genially and a program called Puppet Master. You'll see other lists of apps on this page as well. Puppet Master, the kids take a photo of something they've drawn, and then the app turns it into a manipulatable puppet. So you got a picture of, you draw a picture, or you take a photo of yourself, it's Peter the fisherman, and now it puts it in the interface, and the kids can move. Let me show you this. The kids can move the puppet and create a little video that they can play back for the class. So now you have a way of the kids doing virtual puppets. Puppet workshops, something we've always wanted to do in the rotation model, but sometimes kids don't want to sit there with their sock. Now you can do it through technology, and here's this free program called Puppet Master. By the way, if you just Google Puppet Master, you're going to find a bunch of horror flicks. So make sure you Google the Puppet Master app.
Or use the link that we've shared.
Yeah. There's another, speaking of quizzes, when we first started teaching with computers in Sunday school, man, we didn't have any Bible software to speak of, but we had a lot of quiz software people would put out. And there's a program called Genially that has templates, a whole bunch of quiz templates. And this is just a static shot, but if you looked at that on Genially, all that stuff would be moving on the screen, and you would just type in your questions and tell it what kind of quiz you wanted to do and start to fill it in. And then Genially will put this fun interface around it and allow you to do quizzing. Quizzing is how the brain remembers Bible stories long term. You know, it's that old use it or lose it. So the computer lab's a great place to pay homage to all the lessons you've been teaching over the year and to make sure you drive them further in the students' brains. It's a very mechanical thing. It's about how the brain learns. If you're not quizzing, you're not teaching. If you're not testing, you're not knowing what they know and what they don't know. I know people today don't like the idea of tests and quizzes with kids, but they don't understand brain science, basic brain science. Here's a tool that allows it that makes it fun. You put wiggly stuff on a screen next to a multiple choice quiz about Elijah, and suddenly the kids are going, can I use that? Can I do that? You put that same quiz on a piece of paper and they're going to fold it into a wad and throw it back at you. That's a quick turn through some of my favorite Bible apps. Will there be more coming out? Yeah, definitely more coming out. Ron, do you want to throw in on any Bible apps or software programs that you've used outside of the sort of canon we've mentioned already?
Couple programs that I've used. One is KidPix. KidPix is not only for art, but also you can create ways of retelling a story by inserting pictures and things like that. KidPix has just recently come out with KidPix 3D. And so they've got a new version of that, and I would definitely try to find that software program. Something I've used for quizzing a little more old school is PowerPoint, and I've used PowerPoint to create actually a Jeopardy game that I teach are used for our confirmation classes, our final exam, and we have 14 different categories we use. I also use that same concept of using the PowerPoint in quiz making when I work with senior citizens. I've done some nursing home ministry, and we've created a Bible Jeopardy game for senior citizens there at the nursing home or senior citizens in the church. And another program I've also used with senior citizens is Cal and Marty, once again, helping them remember those old favorite scripture passages and getting it played on a game to just refresh their memory and put Bible words together, verses together. The last program, and it's very hard to find anymore, is Illumina Bible. to me is just a treasure trove of multimedia and things like that. But it's also a program that I've used with confirmation classes and teaching church history. It has a wonderful timeline, interactive timeline on church history. You're going to have to search for it on eBay because it is out of print. But if you can find Illumina Bible software, the DVD-ROM version of it, which is compatible with Windows 10, Windows 11, it's worth the investment because of the graphics in there, the virtual tours of the Holy Land, virtual tours of the temple, the tabernacle. There's just so many things that a whole Bible encyclopedia, hymns of the church. There's so many things in that program that are just in there that if you can find it, you are the most lucky person in the world.
Some of the earlier versions, like the gold and the silver version, if you find those, they probably won't run on your new computer. But if you can find the very last version they made, yeah. Where I use something as simple as BibleGateway.com's app for my own personal use on my cell phone when I'm wanting to look up scripture. I've also posted an article there, one of our topics in our computer workshop area about what Bible apps that I personally use. And adults may be very interested in knowing what you'd recommend. There are a lot of sort of not great Bibles on apps. Bible Gateways is one of the best. Olive Tree is another one of them. Encourage people, find good things and tell people about them. You'd be surprised, we're always wanting people to do Bible study at home. We're always wanting people to have scripture close. Well, this day and age, that means having something that'll run on their phone, because that, for most generations today, that's what they keep close to them. We need to help churches and people get over the idea that the Bible is bound by paper and hardback covers. The Bible is the Bible, whatever device you put it in, whether it's paper or digital electronic. And right now, everybody's got these delivery devices for scripture. We should be taking advantage of that. So show them the Bible Gateway app. And if you're a word study geek like me, want to know more about what does that word hover in Genesis 1:1 mean when God was hovering over the deep? Get yourself the Blue Letter Bible app, because it'll show you the word studies, and suddenly you realize the word hover can be interpreted as God danced over the deep. I love that.
On other tech, Gwen had asked about online Sunday school, because her school is still meeting online, and I know that's one of your topics you had on the agenda.
Yeah, fantastic. We created during the pandemic a forum inviting people to tell us what they were doing for their online Sunday school. And if you follow the link there to our online Sunday school forum, there's a video that a church, I'm trying to remember where this church was again. Let me see if I can find it. There's a video of a church that went all in on all online, and then they created a video of their experience and what they did, and a montage of all the different classes and how they interact with each other. And it's an absolutely fantastic video. I don't have the time to go wander through here, but it's if you follow that link, you'll go into our online Sunday school area. We've got some production tips we put together to help people along. But you want to look at this one particular church and what they did, and the faces of the kids and how happy they were. I've heard a lot of people saying, well, I'm glad that's over. Glad we can go back to in-class Sunday school. And yet all of the trends are telling us that if we don't find a way to reach out to our students where they are, we're not going to have them where we thought they should be in Sunday school. That our definition of where we teach and how we teach needs to change if we're going to be truly evangelistic. And I've always believed that Sunday school is just pure and outright evangelism. That's what it is. So if we can't get them to come to us, into our classrooms, in our environment, we need to reach out to them. One of the most exciting things I think about online Sunday school is the ability to invite through FaceTime and Zoom and Microsoft Meeting, these simple technologies, when a kid's in a hospital, or your teacher's been in the hospital and the kids want to connect. Maybe she's had a baby and the kids just want to connect. And this technology allows us interpersonal dimension that in the past we were like, well, what happened to Mrs. So-and-so? And hey, it's too bad John broke his leg and got sepsis and is in the hospital, poor 12-year-old kid. I guess we'll see him in a couple of weeks. Now we have the technology in Sunday school to do pastoral care to the kids who aren't there and allow them to come into our classroom. That's what I think we mean by hybrid, which is if you can't come where we are, how can we use this technology to allow you to be present with us in a virtual manner, to be with our kids? You're seeing this happening in the healthcare world, where the camera is in these places and allowing people to connect back to their families when they have healthcare issues. And we certainly have kids who go through that too.
I think maybe at this point, there are a few other things on the agenda with a lot of links, but I think,
Yeah.
and we'll be sharing I'll email those links to you, plus you can find them on our site under the Zoom meeting notes. But maybe you want to take some questions, comments, or sharing?
Yeah, let me get rid of share. Let me get rid of stop share here. And oh my gosh, there's still a bunch of people here. Thought we only had 4 or 5 left.
So
We had my name Gwen from Grace Baptist Church in Mount Vernon.
Hey, Gwen.
We had a children's church, and the children would be broken up, breakout rooms with different teachers to talk about the lesson that the preacher had just showed. And he did a video. He would show a video, and then the kids would break up and they would discuss it or do art and all these other things, because we did rotation model when they were in person. But then we tried to put it on in children's church. Now he left the church, he went to another church, and now there's no person to get those kids back for children's church. So I'm the superintendent of church schools. So I wanted to say, we'll substitute children's church and get back to church school classes. And I did it with Vacation Bible School. We broke them out. So I was looking for different ways to get teachers excited about coming back to teach. I can't do all the classes, and they're not used to Zoom. So I'm saying I have to try to make it easy that they'll want to come in and teach their class, but online. That's why I was joining to find out what programs you have. So I'll be looking at all those apps, and I'll try to figure out how I could create a program for them to be able to feel comfortable.
Gwen, one thing I would mention to you is if these children are at home and they have a tablet and they have a cell phone, mom and dad can set up that cell phone to be in on the Zoom call, and then they can use that tablet to use the same Bible app that you're using. So that's another way to do. A lot of times with Zoom, it's me talking to you, you talking back. But the kids can be on their computer doing things while we're Zooming with them, so that we get that semi-personal virtual interaction, see faces, but they're also doing the material that we're all working on. And if they've all downloaded that free app, I mean, the apps that I've recommended are free. If they, Sun School is terrifically free. You could all be doing that together in a virtual environment. So that's another wrinkle. Yeah, it's another wrinkle.
Great idea. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for not abandoning Sunday school and going to some sort of little truncated short version that makes the pastor happy.
Yeah.
And the parents happy. They don't have to stay for another hour. Thank you for sticking to your guns there.
I'll jump in. When we just started this past Sunday back in person, but we've been online and also doing a little bit of a hybrid back and forth over the last 2.5 years. And one of the things we did while the students were online was doing sign language for hymns. Because singing was so important for our Sunday school time and stuff. And then we couldn't do that online. And then when we were back in person briefly, we were wearing masks and we're not allowed to sing. So we taught the kids sign language to Here I Am, Lord was a big one we did. And then I had parents aware of a time that we did rehearsals together online kind of thing with me playing the music on my computer and the kids all like this on their little squares signing along. And then I recorded that, and then that was played in our church service. And it was a neat way for families who are not yet ready to come back to church in person to have their children participate. And it was great for the people who were in the church to see the families and be like, oh, yay, they're still, alive and well and all that good stuff. And it was a really neat way to connect and for kids to get involved.
I think you were part of a meeting we had here recently where
In the summer, yeah.
might have been you or someone else said that there's a silver lining to what happened to the Sunday school during the pandemic. And that is we were forced out of our little comfortable boxes and way of doing things. And we stumbled around, and a few people stumbled for a while and then came upon some stuff. And that stuff, you know, the rotation model itself came about because we were stumbling around. Computer labs came about because I didn't even own a computer when I walked in my first computer lab. Didn't know how to turn one on, true story. But sometimes necessity or crisis is the mother of invention. And I think that's the way I like to look at where we've been. And what you just said about like sign language, some people are going, wow, sign language, I don't know anything about sign language. Go on YouTube. The number of Sunday school teachers like Karen who have signed hymns and signed children's songs, and kids love to follow along with that stuff. Some of the mega churches have put out dance videos of their Sunday school teachers signing and moving to songs that the kids like.
In order to honor everyone's time, I think we've reached the end of our hour, and we will stay here longer for those who do want to ask more questions and visit. But I'm going to ask, let's see, I think it's Robin is going to close this with prayer.
Okay, and before you do, Robin, I'm seeing a question from Eric Zubler that I'll answer after we close here about programs for parents to offer their kids.
And I guess,
Hey, Eric, great question. Assuming if you're traveling, these are kids using tablets and not laptops, although you may have some that have laptops. I would have the parent download the Sun School app. It's free. It doesn't have any in-app purchases. It's a pure ministry. It incentivizes the kids to keep going through the stories. When I told a parent about that, when I shared that link with the parent, I would put in nice big bold letters, look, don't just tell your kid to download it or download it for them and hand the tablet and walk away, hoping that they'll figure it out or want to use it. You know, you put kids in front of ice cream and steak, what are they going to eat? What are they going to eat? They're going to eat ice cream every time. If that tablet can get over to play their favorite games or even go to YouTube kids videos, they're kids. So you need to tell the parents, hey, if you're going to do this, you have to put some structure and some incentive saying, this is what I want you to do. This is, and preferably, this is what I'm going to do with you. Let's share this together. No reason tablet screens can't be shared. So I would give the parents some handles on it, not just the handles on the tablet.
Okay, great. So that would be one that they could take in the car or they can do during the week and reinforce whatever story we're rotating through. And
yeah,
we're just finding so many of our families are trying to catch up on activities that they couldn't do for the last 2 years. They're off to the beach, they're off to grandma's, they're off to Disney, they're, you know, and I feel bad they're not getting to Sunday school anymore, hardly, but once a month, twice a month.
Some of the folks out there, the church prognosticators, are saying that's going to be the new normal. And so we have to create these other opportunities for engagement. And some of those things we learned during the pandemic, that's why I think it's a bit of a silver lining. It taught us a few things of how to reach out. Parents are going to have to be serious about it. The parents are going to have to make a commitment to it. You might start off with, hey, let me show you this app, in your next adult class, wherever the parents happen to be, when you can get them there saying, hey, this is something we're going to do. One of the things I learned about young adult ministry over the years is that if the young adult parents have fellowship with each other and know that other parents are also struggling with these same issues and doing some of the same things together. Hey, all this month, we're trying to sit down and use the prayer jar for graces at dinner. My young adults over the years parents have said, because I know my friends are doing that, it encouraged me to do it. And that's a great way to get people to buy into something, and then at your next fellowship meeting, you get a couple parents to stand up and say, hey, this is what we've been doing. And other parents are going, wow, I wish that was us. How do you do that? I've been hoping for that too. I think parents want those things. Sometimes they just need to be shown and to be shown that other parents are following through and have some success at doing it. So show the app. Have the kids come in and show the parents the app. Get a couple of your kids to really learn it. There is a learning curve to all these things. Sun School has a learning curve because it's got a lot of things you can do. But once you've learned it should be a fairly straightforward app for an 8-year-old to handle. 5-year-old's going to need some help.
Mhm. All right, good to
But
know.
no reason the 8-year-old can't help them.
Mhm. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see, somebody asked if the apps are free, and I believe most of the ones that you've recommended are free. So there's
Right.
plenty you can purchase out in the world too, but
There are certain Bible apps, and what you'll see is the dreaded phrase in-app purchases. Like Right Now Media has put out, and Minnow, you see that new name out there, MINNO. You see the literature for children's ministry resources. These companies have come along and they've licensed the right to a lot of existing content, like What's in the Bible DVD series. They've licensed the right to stream that through their app to families and children. And you have to, and so you pay the $1.99 or the $2.99 for the app, or you get the app free and you pay the 99 cents or $1.99 to download the video and watch it. This is material that we've been using in Sunday school, and they've simply reappropriated it and are now streaming it directly to families with tablets. I think it's a wonderful idea. It's just unfortunate that it's going to cost some money. But it sort of fits what we've always hoped for, which is maybe parents would download Bible material and kids could watch these videos at home. Hey, VeggieTales did it. People started buying VeggieTales for home. By the way, all the VeggieTales are also available for streaming. So you'll see some of those resource ministry apps as well. If you're using a Bible app for yourself, a lot of you can get the King James version, but if you want the NIV or the NRSV, you're gonna have to pay some money for that. That's why I like BibleGateway.com. You can pick any of the versions they have for free, and it's a real nice, simple interface. Wouldn't be very exciting for kids, but it's the kind of thing that parents should have on their phone. And you can send a text message once a week with the text right to the link of the verse that you're working on for Sunday, and say, hey, look it up in your Bible app, or click this link to go to BibleGateway.com, and this is the verse the kids are going to be learning this week, or this is the verse our adult class is studying. So you can link right to that material, and hopefully they'll maybe download the app so they have it, maybe use it a little bit more, or at least go to the website and see, oh my gosh, the Bible's online. A lot of people still don't know that.
Mhm.
BibleGateway.com just seems to do a real good job with this interface, why I like them over the others. And it's free. That helps. To you. This is your big chance. Janice and Anita, Lydia. Wow. Hey, Amy, I think we've thrashed this beast to the. What do you think, Ron?
Think so.
I think there's a
Okay,
lot of
well, we'll keep
content.
posting about it, and as you all experiment, come up with ideas, put them out there. The beauty of rotation.org is the next 1,000 people may not care, but the 1,001st person may be exactly what they're looking for. And that's one of the glories of doing things the way we're doing them. So share for that person. Share it, pay it forward.
That's
What it's
right.
all about.
There's lots to reflect on our site, so I hope everybody goes and checks on it.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a great
Bye-bye.
rest of your day.